One. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jay Rothman, and welcome to Real People, Real Health. This afternoon, I am excited to have a special edition co-host, Kelly Gores from the Heal documentary. Welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you, Jay. Glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. I thought perhaps before we have Emma Romano coming in from Melbourne, Australia. She's going to be joining us briefly in a few moments here, but I thought this would be a good time while we wait for community to show up on the Facebook Live feed for us to just spend a few minutes just kind of checking in. It's been some time since I've seen you live. I was thinking this morning while I was on my hike doing my own spiritual practice and getting my own balance, mind, body, and soul, how did I even find out about the Heal documentary? And what I realized was that it was a friend of ours in common, Reverend Michael Beckwith. I believe you have been a member of the Agape Spiritual Center for some time, for some years. And I have too as well. And on one of the times, I think it was a Wednesday night, that I went to see his service, and they started to announce that, Kelly, you have an upcoming documentary that's coming out in the theaters. And I was like, what is that? What's this about? Heal documentary. And I'll keep in mind at this point, I was already into my spiritual and healing journey, working on reversing some medical diagnoses that I had at the time. I had 9 or so that the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center had disclosed to me. And so I looked it up and I was like, wow, this sounds really interesting. And we didn't make it to the first one. I believe it was the second and third one. We went to a few of them. And then we met you there. And we also had the opportunity to meet Peter Crohn's. Actually, on one of the showings, you had like a question and answer Q&A after upstairs. And as he was coming up the stairs, I was coming down, and I grabbed him and we had a conversation on the staircase. And I didn't even know much about him in that moment. But I soon learned, I spent a lot of time doing research on Peter and the work that he does in his community. But that's how we met. And then we met a second time or third time when you actually did a showing at the Agape Center in Culver City. And I remember you were sitting there front row, and I looked at Mary and I was like, I got to go introduce myself to Kelly. And we talked, and it was a beautiful exchange. And from that day forward, I've kept in touch with you. I've shared some of my personal blogs that I published about my healing journey, and you have been so kind to me. And you've always encouraged me to keep doing what I'm doing. And so for that, I want to thank you. And so what I wanted to do, Kelly, is really take a moment to ask you, what was the driver for you? Why did you even work on this project? What was behind it for you?
I wish there was an easy answer for this. There was no, a lot of people assume that maybe I dealt with a tragedy or 9 diagnoses like you did. I'm so in awe in everything that you've been able to do and overcome. But ultimately, the people that I put in the film, I started thinking about doing the film about 10 years ago. And I had just been on this journey seeking how, we're co-creators with life. It started with reading books and then ending up at Agape, and, Reverend Michael's sermons were so inspiring, and they really taught me, that our thoughts and beliefs and emotions really affect, what we're sending out into the world and what we're receiving back. And so the more I dove into that topic, I had my little health stuff that I was trying to figure out just throughout life. I was always trying to clear emotional blocks, and, I'm an athlete, so I always wanted to be physically as strong and healthy as I could be. So just constantly self-educating. And ultimately, this information that I was reading from Bruce Lipton and Michael Beckwith and Joe Dispenza and Marianne Williamson, and on and on, it was so empowering, and it I started to apply it in my life, and my life just kept getting better and better. And I just wanted to put all my teachers in one film to teach people how, much influence we have over our experience, and empower them to become a co-creator with life. So I finally did it a few years ago.
That's amazing. It took a lot of courage for you to be willing to put a project like that together. My understanding is, I believe you had spent some time in Hollywood or in the movies, in some capacity, but this may have been your biggest project to date. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up acting, but this was really like a passion project, and it truly was a calling. It was one of those things. And I think, before I had the tools to become aware of what a calling and a pull and a vision is, that Reverend Michael really drove it home. Like, if you have that passion in your heart or that calling, to follow it, that's a signpost. That tells you, that's part of your mission and why you're here. So everything just set me up to realize, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I didn't overthink it. I was just like, this is such a pull in my heart to do this, that I kind of, when I was finally ready, I surrendered to that calling, and the universe conspired as promised by Mr. Beckwith.
Is there anything that comes to mind that unfolded for you either during the process of making a film or shortly thereafter that was an aha moment for you, or was an epiphany or an awakening that you just weren't even aware of? In other words, what did you learn that you didn't know until you knew it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I learned so much before going in, because that was, I kind of knew who I was interviewing, what I was asking, because they had already been my teachers, and I just wanted to present it in the right way to share with the audience. But there were definitely some aha moments personally, throughout the process of directing my first film. Obviously, I had a lot of personal growth. I have a very small crew, and we got to apply everything that we had learned from these teachers in the actual process of making a film, which, when you're making a, lower budget documentary, it's stressful, it's exhausting, you're on the move, you want to do it well. So there's stress involved. So just to really trust and keep the balance and not let circumstances or challenges overtake you, and just kind of go with the flow. We had to practice what we were kind of preaching every day. So that was great for growth. I think one of the biggest ones, ahas, that really, that I maybe had kind of touched on intellectually, but it really set home, was just the power of our subconscious beliefs. And that word subconscious, it's like we have these beliefs and this programming that we mostly downloaded when we were children. And it's really dictating and running our lives. And, most of these beliefs that we've adopted as a child are negative and disempowering, and limited beliefs, and so if those are the beliefs that are running your operating system and your programs, you're going to be met with circumstances in life, whether they're physical health challenges or relationships, that kind of affirm that belief that you have about yourself and belief that you have about life. And so while I got that, law of attraction, like what you put out, what you're vibrating, your emotional, is what you're going to experience and what you're going to call back to you, what you're going to attract. I didn't realize the gravity of it. A lot of the beliefs that are running the show are subconscious, so we're not even aware that we have them. So while, yes, we are responsible and we are co-creators with life, if we're not aware that we have these beliefs, then we're not to blame. So it's not about blame, it's about awareness and becoming aware of what some of these beliefs are that are running our show. Some of the common ones are, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy. So, just to start to find tools and support to kind of reprogram to a more positive, empowering, software belief system.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so powerful, what you just shared with I and the community here that's joining us from all over the world. We're a global reach channel. We've got people coming in as far away as the East Coast, New York, as far away as Jordan. And I suspect we'll have maybe Pakistan joining us, India, South Africa. We've got Australia sitting in the lobby waiting for us. Mm-hmm. So welcome to Real People, Real Health. I just want to share two personal things with you. One is that I know you're aware of this, but many are not, is that what changed for me in my healing My biggest challenge, one of them was I had blood clots throughout my body, riddled. And one of the bypasses that was installed in me back in 15, I saw heal in November of 17. And a week later, I went for my testing at Cedars, and everything was a go green. Everything was fine. My bypass was wide open. My stents for my other body parts were flowing. And sometime between that November and 8 months later, in July, something had changed significantly. Two things had changed. One is I started to study and rewind and replay Dr. Joe Dispenza's story of how he healed his 6 vertebrae that were broken. And within 11 weeks, he was out of his wheelchair because he created a visual exercise for himself. And he self-healed his vertebrae. And by the 12th week, he was back on his bike. And I studied that video from Heal, and then I also found him on his YouTube. And I decided if he could do that, I could do it too. But I didn't have broken vertebrae. I just had blood flow challenges throughout my body. And so I created my own visual, basically basically changing my blood flow, or seeing my blood flow going from my head down to my toes. And every morning when I was on my bike in Huntington Beach riding, anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours, recreating my blood flow throughout my body, sometime between that November when I started that process and July of 18, my bypass 100% occluded. And the doctors are like, there's something here is not making sense, because we found the blood pressure at your ankles at 70%. Can you stay here for the day, because we need to do some additional testing to see what the heck's going on with you? And in that moment, first I went to anger, and I was really pissed off because this bypass had lasted 10 years and it was under 3. And all I could see was having to go through this whole process and procedure again. And then I went and did the testing, and what they found was that I had created new collateral vessels, not only for my leg, but for my heart. And what I understood in that moment was that it was all the visual work that I had done over that 8-month period that allowed me to bypass the bypass. And I credit you, first and foremost.
I got so chill. So many, oh my God.
I credit you for putting this movie together, this film, because you connected me with Dr. Joe Dispenza. I didn't know who Dr. Joe Dispenza was prior. I didn't know who Bruce Lipton was prior. I didn't know who Peter Crone was prior. A lot of the people that made this movie with you, I didn't know. You introduced me to, and I may never have found them when I needed to. And so I am humbled and I'm honored. And I'm so grateful that I got to meet you through Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith. And, my goal is to invite Dr. Joe on this show one day and have the opportunity to thank him for what he gave to me and what he continues to give to millions of people globally through the work that he did for himself and he continues to do. And so I honor you and I thank you. Soul to soul. Thank you, Kelly. What I'd like to do right now, I'm a little choked up here, and sometimes I do get emotional, and you're not used to that, but many of my community are used to seeing me get emotional, and I'm okay with it today. It's actually emotions and tears of joy and gratitude. It doesn't come from a sad space, and I'm okay with it. And so, but with that, I'd like to bring Emma up into the studio and welcome her to the broadcast.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. I am trying to, I'd like to, Emma.
Sorry, Jay. Yeah, go on. I just love how you got emotional there. I love that. Beautiful. It's really great watching you both. It's beautiful.
Emma, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming in from Melbourne, Australia. I know it's about 9:30, almost 10 o'clock a.m. on your Sunday, and you're giving up your morning time with your family to join us. But I'd like to introduce you to Kelly from Heal Documentary.
Hi, Emma. Welcome.
Hey, gorgeous. How are you? You good?
I'm good. I'm just overwhelmed by the story that Jay just shared. And I mean, it's remarkable what he was able to do. And he's just like the hero you know, for him to spend that much commitment and dedication and time and belief and faith in applying what he learned from these teachers and have these results, it's just like he's just the poster child of heal. He's amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Kelly. But here's my truth. I not that we're comparing, but I think Emma's got me beat because I met Emma just a few weeks ago. She posted something on her feed that showed up on mine, and it caught my eye because of what she shared. And she didn't share a whole lot about her disease. She shared more about what led up to her disease, her prognosis that she had been given. And so I reached out to Emma and I said, I suspect you have a backstory that I'd like to learn more about. And we had a video chat, and fast forward, I heard all I needed to hear to know that she has a story that I'd love for her to share with us today. And so, Emma, I'd like to turn it over to you and begin to share where you feel comfortable and understand that you're in a safe space. This is a no judgment zone, meaning that no matter what you say, I nor Kelly will ever come from a space of judgment. And if there's something that we should ask you that comes from within us, and if you're not comfortable answering it, you can set a loving boundary with us and say, I'm just not ready to go there. And that's okay too. Okay?
Thank you so much. I always get emotional when I talk about what happened for me, not what happened to me. So let's go back. It's 2014. I was a mum and wife, and 2014, I was the busiest person in the world doing not much. I had 2 jobs. I did everything for everybody else. I put myself last. I didn't really love myself. No, actually, I didn't love myself at all. I was constant fear of judgment from everybody. So I did everything to make everybody else feel good about themselves, which you probably know it's an impossible job, right? So what happened was we always go camping as a family around Easter time. And I remember being in the car with my gorgeous husband, and I said, you know, babe, what's that? I don't feel very well, and my eyes are kind of blurry. And he said, well, you know, babe, you're old and shit now. So, because I'm 7 years older than him. And I was like, thanks. Fast forward about 4 days, I started going blind in my left eye. And I didn't know why. But it wasn't just the blindness. I had this shocking pain going up in my head every time I looked left, right, up or down. This shocking pain. Anyway, I went to the doctors. They sent me off the hospital. The hospital said, we don't know what's wrong with you. That was Easter Tuesday. By Thursday, I was completely and totally blind in my left eye. But not only that, I was sick. I didn't feel right in my body. I just didn't feel right. And they did an MRI on me, and they said there's 4 reasons. I was diagnosed with optic neuritis, so it's the optic nerve in the left eye. And they said there's 4 reasons why I get optic neuritis: HIV, AIDS, a brain tumor, or multiple sclerosis. And I was like, oh, yay, that's great options. Thanks for that. So, great. So about a week later, I went to get my results, and they found 3 lesions. I had 2 on the top of my head and 1 in my brainstem. And I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I completely freaked out. You know, you're in this room, and all you do is you just see pictures of people in wheelchairs. And I got really scared. I got really, really scared. But the doctor said to me, Emma, don't worry about it. We're going to treat you for your optic neuritis. And it's an event. It's a multiple sclerosis event. And we wait for a second event before we start, medicating you for multiple sclerosis. So I'm like, okay, it could happen in 25 years. Go home and enjoy your life. I'm like, that was a close one. Okay, I'll go off. It was about 6 weeks later. I was working, and I went numb from my right hip all the way down my toes. I completely lost my leg. So then I was medicated. This is before I knew what I know now. I trusted in the norm, what they call the norm, heavily medicated, and within 3 months, I lost my hands. I couldn't feel my hands. It was like I had a line going from my arm here. I could feel this side, but I couldn't feel this side. I had strength, like I could hold things, but if I didn't see it, especially because my left eye was completely blind, I would drop things if they were in my peripheral. My face started dropping. The fatigue was probably, I get emotional talking about it. And I'll tell you why. Because my highest value is being a mother. I always wanted to be the best mother in the world, my children, and I couldn't mother. I was so depressed and I was in such fear. The fear was debilitating. And at that stage, I was just going from the couch to the bed, from the couch to the bed. And when you've got boys who are like 11 and 12 at the time, and they are beautiful boys, they would look after me, and then mum gets too hard. Mum's not fun anymore. So they start bypassing you. And two massive events shook me, two massive events. One was I was sitting on the couch with my boys and we were watching How to Train a Dragon. And I remember my youngest Ben just turned around at me and he looked at me, put his hand on my knee and he goes, "Mummy, I love it when you're sick." Oh, what? What do you mean you love it when I'm sick? He said, "Mummy, you're still." And that shook me so hard because one of my greatest things was to be this amazing parent, and I was never present for my children. Never. I would put a movie on and then I'd be doing the dishes at the same time. I'd be sitting on my phone. I was always so busy because it was too hard to feel. It was too hard to be still. And then the second event happened. We all went to my in-laws and my husband passing my 18-month-old niece at the time. And I dropped her. I just didn't feel her in my hands. Thank God my husband picked her up. We caught her just inches below her head hit the concrete. So I took myself off to the neurologist again. I was under 3 neurologists at this stage. And I sat in the office and I was like, when do I get better? It's been 3 months. I'm getting worse and worse and worse. At this stage, I lost my other foot. So I couldn't feel my foot. I couldn't feel my hand, my face, my chest. Again, the fatigue was debilitating. I couldn't drive. I couldn't work. I hadn't worked, hadn't driven for 3 months now. Really went downhill. And I was miserable. I was really miserable, and the doctor said to me, everybody's different. There's no cure for MS. It can give you more medication, but to be honest, you're going down really fast, and it's quite abnormal for somebody who's diagnosed later in life. And he said, about 6 months, he said, I think you need to start preparing your home for a wheelchair. And this is from a woman who was doing competition tennis, roller derby, competition netball, running, yoga, working 2 jobs. Me in a wheelchair? Absolutely not. So I sat there, and that was July. I can't remember the exact date. It was July, I think it's a Monday or a Tuesday, 2014, and I haven't been back since. So I left that office with a big FU thought in my head. I was going to prove everybody that, yes, you can heal from multiple sclerosis, because I believed wholeheartedly I'd given it to myself. I was in such denial of being me. I had massive fear of judgment around the way I looked, the way I spoke, the way I mothered, the way I did, you name it, everything, massive fear of judgment. And I had to then go on a massive journey on exactly how is it that I'm going to help myself. So the first one was the food, was the gut. And I did that. And literally within 3 weeks, I started to feel my hands again. 3 weeks, that's just clearing my gut. And that was not any great water diet or anything like that. That was just not an animal product. That's what that was. No gluten and no animal product. So it was 3 weeks. But my biggest one was my eye. I was still completely blind. And I was new to all this world of healing yourself and emotions. And I found out I was really angry. I went from 2 emotions. I went from anger to guilt shame. Anger, guilt shame. Fear and sadness was just too hard for me to feel that. That was too hard. So I was just suppressing, numbing myself with work, numbing myself with activities, numbing myself with wine, numbing myself with everything possible so I wouldn't think. Because when you think, you start to feel. And I wonder I had MS. I was like a bubbling boiling point. I was a pot and something had to go, you know? And I thank the universe, I thank God every day that I was blessed with MS, because guess what, people? I do not have MS anymore. I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm running, I'm playing tennis. I'm not doing roller derby anymore because that's just stupid. But everything else I'm doing. I am mothering the way I know how to mother my children. And I'm a bloody good mum, you know, mom for you Americans. So it's been a massive ride, but I tell you now, there's 2 big things you've got to look after yourself about, and that's give yourself permission to be you. Give yourself permission to feel and remove trauma in your life. And the biggest thing is you have to believe that you can heal. That's my biggest thing. Okay, I'll stop talking now. Sorry, guys.
Emma, I was about to invite you to take a moment just to breathe. Just take a nice deep breath in right now. You've shared a lot. Yeah. And just take that moment. Yeah. You just earned it, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask you, you clearly, a couple of things that come to mind for me. One is you touched on your behavior, how you were before you got the symptoms started unfolding for you and you got the diagnosis from the doctor. What you described to me sounds very much like codependent behavior. Now, I don't really like to live in labels and all, but just from a behavioral standpoint, how you were living your life and the choices that you were making fell into that type of behavior. And it became clear to me that you believe that was at the root of you getting ill. If I'm paraphrasing you correctly, is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I was codependent behavior on all kinds of levels. Like everybody had to depend on me. And then I also was massively dependent on my oldest son, Jack. Hugely. Like I needed him for me to even breathe. It was ridiculous. But yeah, 100%. It's much easier than dealing with yourself. It's much easier. Yeah.
So once you had the understanding that was the root cause, you mentioned that you went to a green diet, probably fruit and vegetables. You cut out all meat byproducts, you said. So keto was out for you. Obviously, that was not your choice. But I suspect that if you had just changed your diet and what you were allowing yourself to eat, you may not have improved. You may not have had sustainability in your healing. What do you think? What did you have to do to change your behavior? And what else did you have to do besides change what you eat in order for you to do a complete heal and not have the symptoms anymore?
To be honest, the food was probably 20% of it. It was like the mechanics. The other 80% was I had to give myself permission to heal my inner child, to start loving myself. And that was probably the hardest thing, because you go and see these people and they say, everyone needs self-worth. Go out and love yourself. You're like, okay, I didn't know how to do it. My mum didn't know. My grandmother didn't know. How do I do it? And that was probably the most frustrating part of it. So I had to go on a journey of how do I actually honor myself? How do I love myself? And one of the biggest thing was to be okay with me. I was the kind of person, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, I didn't even know how I liked my eggs. I didn't even know what colour was my favourite colour. Because I would be, if you asked me, so Kelly, if you said to me, hey, Emma, what's your favourite colour? And I go, Kelly, what's yours? And you said purple. I go, oh, me too. Me too. You know, it was a miracle. And then, you know, if Jay said, oh, mine's blue, I go, oh, mine too. You know, I didn't know. One of the biggest things, you have to change your beliefs about yourself. You have to change your beliefs, and you have to start habits. Because if you just start saying to yourself, I love myself, but there's no reference in your brain, we have a cortex nucleus, and it's your reference, it's your filing cabinet in your brain. You can say whatever you like, but if there's no reference to it, your brain will just go, that's not a feeling, I don't even know what this is, and it will spew it back out again. So you actually have to start implementing a habit of proving to yourself that you love yourself. So mine could be, I love going to the movies on my own, right? So if I went to the movies on my own, it's a point of reference that I love myself. So I've got something in my filing cabinet now. So if I look at myself in the mirror and go, Emma, I love you. I've got a point of reference. So my cortex nucleus, that's it. So we have a safe memory. It takes 30 days for that cell to die and come back. But if we have that same belief system, the same old beliefs still come up. So it is work. It is work. You have to implement habits, 100%, and you have to believe. Believing is that's the number one. You have to believe it can heal. So that's your question.
And I saw someone else ask this as well. How did you, after, 6 months of debilitation and being on the couch and then going to the doctor and it was just getting worse and worse, how did you all of a sudden have that defiance and have this belief aha moment that you could heal? And then, the diets, you said 20% of it, the emotional healing was the rest, and the subconscious belief systems. How did you know that you could? How did you have that belief? And then who were the practitioners or the books or whatever that helped you get there?
So Dr. Joe Dispenza he was put into my peripheral from my cousin, and Tyler Tolman, who's a food guru, and people were sending me emails and things like, they go, oh, check this out, check that out. And believe me, when you're down the dumps and you're in massive victim mode and you're all depressed and you've got multiple sclerosis, you don't really want to think about things like that. But when there's a turning point, and when you have a turning point, my biggest leverage, my biggest turning point was my children. It wasn't me. I had a bigger why, and my why was my kids. My kids were everything. That's that codependent thing that Jay's talking about. I had to have that. So it's funny, once you start, it's almost like, I talk to my angels a lot. And I did ask for help from my angels, and especially Archangel Raphael. I would sit there and say, Archangel Raphael, because I knew where the legions were. The lesions were, right? So I get him to go zap them and pull them away, because I heard that from another doctor. So I was getting little bits of information like that. And then you start reading emails and you start Googling people and you're seeing things. It's amazing how many people have healed. Doctors tell you people don't heal. And it's amazing how so many people say to me, oh, you're in remission. No, I just don't have it. For me, if you've got a broken arm, are you then in remission of a broken arm for the rest of your life?
Good point.
No, I don't believe in remission, because I believe if you think, oh, you're in remission, you're still focusing on you have an illness. So you got to shift your focus onto, no, I'm all good. I'm 100% good. I'm better than I've ever been.
Beautiful.
And then your internal representation, your I am, you start shifting it to other things, and your environment changes. That's guys, your environment's everything. If you hang around with 4 depressed people, you become the 5th. You hang around with 4 people who are healing themselves, you'll become the 5th. So
that's the law of attraction, Emma, that
right.
Kelly mentioned earlier. And what I also hear is you had to change your mindset. You had to hack your belief systems. You had to basically reset your mind, reset your brain, your thinking, which then resets your behavior. I also heard you mention, if I may paraphrase you, you are a spiritual woman. I wonder, yes. I'd like to ask you from your perspective, how much did that impact your healing? Your spirituality?
Huge, because you have to believe, because I tell you now, when you're depressed and you're fearful, and when you're laying on the couch, you've got multiple sclerosis, even if you don't have an illness and you're one of those mums that's just so busy all the time because you're too scared to face anything, it's lonely. It's really lonely. But when you can sit there and you can have one of these guys beside you, you can think of an angel, or you can think of universal or God, Mother Earth, whatever it is, and it's working for you. You know you're not alone. You know you've got someone there. And that, when did we decide that it didn't take a village to help us out? That's what I want to know. It takes a village. It doesn't take one thing. It doesn't take one person. It takes a village. And I have amazing spirit guides, and I have an amazing belief, and that gets you through. That gets you through every single day. Gets me through every single day, I should say.
Kelly, how does Emma's story differ or not from others that you have met through the making of the Heal documentary and post, now that your movie is in fact on Netflix, worldwide, available to everyone that just has to hit push play? How is her story any different, or is it not so different from those that you have met that have healed from some type of prognosis?
Yeah, I think she represents so Kelly Turner is a woman in the film, and she did research specific to cancer and radical remission, which again, remission isn't the best term of words, but or the best choice of words, but it's people that spontaneously healed. And essentially she studied 1,500 cases of late stage terminal cancer. And essentially these were all people that were sent home by their doctors, similar situation, like there's nothing else we can do. Get your affairs in order and enjoy your final days kind of situation. And all of these people healed in the end. And so she discovered these 9 things that all of these people do. And it's, again, specific to cancer. But I think it applies to all chronic illness. And I think Emma is a total bright and shining example of it. So, and exactly in the percentages she said, by the way. So of those 9 things, only 2 of them were physical. And that's radically changing your diet, which she did, and using herbs and supplements. And the rest of the 9 things, the other 7 things, were mental, emotional, and spiritual. And, you release suppressed emotions, you increase positive emotions, you increase your social support, you find your strong reasons for living, which she did with her kids, and the list goes on. But it's about 20% is the physical dietary foundation, and the rest is really the mental, emotional, and spiritual work. So you kind of prove my theory that those 9 essentials that she discovered through scientific research doesn't just apply to cancer, it applies to all chronic illness. And I love that. So she nailed it. I mean, her approach.
Beautiful.
you know, and it takes a certain, what Kelly said, she said it, you know, you have to have that defiance when your doctor tells you this is what's possible or this is what's likely to happen. You have to have that FU attitude where you go home and you're like, no, I'm going to take this into my hands and I'm going to do what it takes. And I'm going to implement these practices and these new habits of loving myself. And I'm going to get people to help me uncover what's in my way. And I'm going to change my diet. And I'm going to, you know, all the things that you did as well, Jay. It's just, it takes commitment, dedication, and defiance and belief.
Kelly, you know, those 9 things, it's funny you just mentioned those, because the first time I saw the movie, I was like, oh, wow, what were those 9 things? And of course I couldn't recall them. And then the second time I came to the movie showing in Santa Monica, I had my phone out and I sat there like I used to do with Reverend Michael and took notes. While the movie was playing, I took notes, and I took the notes of all those 9 things. And then of course I bought the movie, so I'd always have it available. And I just studied those 9 things. I was already on my healing journey, but I was relatively early on, and I had a large mountain to reach. I had a high summit to get to. And it's a beautiful experience when you meet other people that affirm everything that the two of you have shared today. I had met my spiritual mentor on a business trip early on after I was released from Cedars, and he had self-healed from prostate cancer. He checked out of the hospital when they were about to do surgery and chemo and radiation, and he said, oh, no, thank you, I'm going home. And he went back home. And he did the water fast. Went vegan for 1.5 years. And he is 5 years, I believe now, 5 years clean. And I asked him this July, I said to him, as I was overlooking one of the powerful vortex mountains in Sedona, on a phone call with him, I said, Dwayne, tell me something. What do you think was the number one thing that allowed you to heal? Was it the nutrition? Was it the emotional? Was it the mental? Was it the spiritual? And he said to me, if I had done all of them and excluded my spiritual connection to the divine, I wouldn't be alive today. I said, really? I said, even though you did everything, you go, and what we both agreed on is that it really isn't one. We can't just focus on nutrition or on detoxing or on one aspect of what we think is behind us healing. We have to look at it as like a potpourri of all 9, right?
Exactly.
100%.
You know, I want to just share with, if you haven't realized, if you haven't paid attention, I did a fashion change. I changed my t-shirt.
Yeah, I noticed.
Mitchell, I've never done that before, but I did it because I couldn't decide which shirt I wanted to wear. And I launched this product line in September while I was on my own water fast. And Tyler Tolman was one of my mentors that I studied while I was on my water fast. I pulled out at 19 days because my weight got too low. I was down to 125. And I'm going to jump back in and do it a little differently. The next one is going to be a juice water fast. But I put courage on first because for you to do what you did and I opt out of traditional care and come home and have that FU moment and took your life back, took control, took a lot of courage. And it takes tremendous courage to step out from, let's say, traditional Western medicine, if that's the choice that we make, and have courage to have faith and trust that perhaps a power greater than ourselves can help restore us to our wholeness. And then I switched to the word hope because this is what hope meant to me early on. In my early on part of my healing journey, hope meant to me healing our perspective every day. And that tied back to your root cause of your diagnosis, which was codependent behavior. I was a codependent junkie my whole life, 54 years. From the day I think came out of my mom's womb, I was set up to think I could help people and save people and fix people and lose myself along the way. And so that was, I believe, my root cause as well. But when I shifted to starting the real healing process for myself. It went from healing our perspective every day to healing our physical experience. And so either way, hope works for me today. And it's such a big part of my own healing journey. And so I wanted to share this with the two of you as well, because it's really helped keep me motivated and focused on what's truly important in my life today.
I thought it was
and
just
so thank you for allowing me to have fun with that. What's that, Kelly?
I thought it was just the signature move, halfway through you give us a little intermission, but no, that's amazing. The hope.
I was waiting for some background music or something.
What's that, Emma?
I said I was waiting for some background music, like boom, chicka, wow, wow.
Well, maybe someday we'll get there. But today you are, Emma, today you are the music.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are all we need to hear, because your story is a story of true hope. I know that there may be millions of people that have the diagnosis that you received in 14 and are stuck and don't know what to do. And perhaps maybe one person hears your story today and it gives them hope and courage that perhaps can change their life forever.
So, thank you.
Yeah, it's important to hear stories of possibilities so that others with your same diagnosis can strengthen their belief. So you are just people hearing what you did, what you overcame, makes it possible for themselves, just like Joe Dispenza did for Jay and you. It's like, it's so important to hear your story. And this is awesome sharing it with us.
Thanks, Kelly. And Kelly, can I just say, all those people who say to me, oh, rubbish, you haven't healed yourself from MS, it's ridiculous. I always say, go watch the documentary, heal, and then come back to me. That's what I say. So instead of me having to preach and practice, go see Heal documentary. It's great. Kelly Gores.
Amazing. Thank you.
So, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, just have a look. Have a look. So thank you. Thank you for putting that out there, and not for just people who are looking for the way to heal, the people who have healed themselves. And we need our tribe, because it can be lonely. We're up against the masses here.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thanks so much. And Jay, this has been amazing. Thank you for being you.
You're welcome, Emma. With what time we do have, I'd like to ask you, Emma, if there's anything that comes to mind that you'd like to share, maybe either about your story that you have not put out, or if there's any words of wisdom that you would like to share with maybe one person or someone that needs to hear what you have to say right now in this moment.
Okay, there was when I figured it out that dealing with your emotions and getting rid of emotions, sort of suppressing them, this was huge for me. I took myself off to a retreat. It was my first retreat I did, and I was completely blind in my left eye. And I went through a process, and it was about my father. And I had held this anger in me around my father from a very young child. And all of, the neurologist had said to me that I will never see again, because it was just too much damage to my optic nerve. I'll be completely blind. And I went through this process where I could really feel my anger, like really scream and get it out. And so we had a break, and I came back, and I could then read the word motivation. So I had no color. To be honest, it took 3 years for me to get my eye back. My left eye now is better than my right eye, right? So it's really good. But really what it was, this is my goal. This is what I've really learned. Everything that happens in your body is just an indicator. It's like a car. So if your oil light goes on in your car, what we usually do is we usually fill it with petrol. Okay? So if you do find something in your body, if there is a little bit of numbness, if you're constantly getting cold, if you're constantly getting this, it's actually a stuck emotion in there. So instead of suppressing it with medication, have a look at what's going on and what you need to look at. So when I see my clients, they'll say to me, oh, but it's constant pain in my back. If you could give your back an emotion, what would it be? Sometimes it's sadness, right? Well, let's look at the sadness. It's quite amazing. What is your body telling you? So instead of constantly just filling your body up with food or wine or drugs, what is your body really indicating to you? That's probably my bit of gold for you guys.
I love that. And it's such a big lesson. It's like our body is our biggest ally. It's not failing us. It is constantly trying to converse with us and indicate what's going on or what's off balance so that we can support it to get back to health. And I've been wanting to ask this from the beginning, but now I have to ask based on what you just said about the retreat. When we were filming the film, Rob Wergan is an energy healer. And we were actually came back and we filmed another day, and he was working with someone with PLS, which is, in the family of ALS. And he's, he was talking about MS, because I was asking him about a friend of mine with MS, and he said, I call MS must scream. And he connected it to anger, and liver is the organ of anger that processes anger according to traditional Chinese medicine. And so when you're suppressed that much anger and you're not expressing it, literally the energy and the emotion becomes so stagnant that it shuts off your nerves from your waist down, and in your case. So I just wanted to know if that resonates with you, and if that brings up anything for you.
100%. So every client I see, I get them to do a FU letter, right? So it's just to one person, and it's just, I put on really angry music, and they've got 3.5 minutes just to go F you, whatever. It could be simple as you left the toothpaste off, the lid off the toothpaste, and it drives me nuts. It could be anything. And it's things that if you said it to that person, it would be life-taking. It wouldn't be good for anybody. But you need to get it up. And then I have a punching bag, right? And we just hammer it out together. It's great. So I get to be angry most days. Right, so we just hammer it. Let go. There's F you coming out. F you. It's fantastic. And then we burn that letter. We burn it and we flush it down the toilet. And then we do this beautiful thank you letter to the same person. Wow. So you get rid of all that anger. It's beautiful. It's so great. And then it's a beautiful thank you letter. So it's a great process. It's a beautiful process, and it's amazing, especially my clients who have MS or anger issues. Most mums have anger issues, I tell you now, right? You can see it. They're at boiling point. And they can just release this and they go, oh, my God, I feel fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to release the anger, but do it in a safe environment. I used to get angry with my kids. That was me releasing anger, but it wasn't in a good way at all. So, yeah, you have to release. If you want to have a cry, but do it in a safe environment. Do it in a nurturing way, not in a take from other people way.
Consciously.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Emma, I have a question for you, and then I have one question for Kelly, and out of respect for your time, we're almost at the hour, coming up on it. But my question for you, Emma, is how is your life different today than prior to even beginning to have the symptoms of MS and celiac? How has your life changed? And what are you doing today differently than you ever did prior?
My life has completely changed. I'll go prior to the MS. So let's go back to 2013. I was, a mom, 2 beautiful boys, dog, cat, bird, guinea pigs, beautiful husband. On the outside, everything looked fantastic. On the inside, I was scared. I was lonely. I was scared. I had to control everything, which means I was completely out of control of everything. I was in fear of judgment. I had this massive belief around myself that I was dumb. I had 2 jobs. I did it, roller dive, everything. I was just busy. And I was drinking a bottle of wine a night. Sometimes 2 bottles of wine a night, because I wouldn't allow myself to have time to think. Because if I had time to think, I would start to feel, and I didn't know how to deal with that. So I was very high. I was a really good drunk. Does that make sense? Like nobody knew. No one knew. And I was really good at it. Now, what's different is I really like hanging out with me. And I like being quiet with myself. And instead of working as a receptionist, a tennis coach, I now get to travel the world and help people. And I came up with my own methodology called timeline reset, which removes negative emotions and limiting beliefs from the body and the unconscious mind. And I get to teach that everywhere and help people through it. And my boys are 16 and 17 and still don't think I'm cool, but I don't think they ever will think I'm cool. But they want to hang out with me and we have fun, and I'm not codependent on them. My husband and I have never been this romantic, and I love him and he adores me, and we have this beautiful life. We love camping. I run retreats. I travel a lot. I've now got money. Life is really good. It's really, really good. And I get to hang out with Kelly Gores and Jay and on a Sunday morning. You know, it's cool. Life's freaking awesome. That's what it is. You know, it's freedom. Freedom to be me. That's what it is. That's the difference.
Yes, you just nailed it, because I was going to paraphrase what I heard you say prior to healing. You were a woman living in internal pain. You were living in what I refer to as internal bondage within yourself. Everything looked okay on the outside, but inside you were dying.
Yep.
You were absolutely dying, literally.
Yep.
And what I heard you say, where the hope comes in, is today it's the simple things in life that bring you inner peace, joy, bliss, contentment, love. We don't need to be chasing the big stuff anymore, because once we have our awakening and we understand what's truly important in our life. They say some of the wealthiest people are poor and some of the poorest people are wealthy. And I know you know what I'm talking about, Emma, because I was one of those guys that was chasing it my whole life. And I was bankrupt. Inside, I was dying. But, you know, there's another time and a place for me to share more of my story. But this has been a beautiful show today, Emma. I want to just take a moment to thank you and honor you. I am humbled by your willingness to come forward today and visit with both Kelly and I in the United States and share your story, because it's not a story that doesn't touch every part of the globe. It touches every human being that is alive one way or the other. We are either diagnosed or we have a friend or a loved one that is suffering and in pain. And what you bring is hope for the future. Hope that if we're just willing to open our minds to the possibility that we can heal without, let's say, science or modern medicine. And there are other options or choices that may provide better solutions for true healing. Why not at least consider it? If nothing else, consider a hybrid. As one of your guests on the movie Kelly had talked about, a number of people choose hybrids, and that's beautiful too. We don't have to do one or the other. It's not black or white. We could go for the hybrid.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Kelly, I'd like to ask you to just share what is going on in your little world these days. Now that Heal is now been released to Netflix, what's going on in your little circle of life in your world, and what do you see for your future if you're going to future trip?
Well, I'm currently onboarding a little child. I'm brewing in my oven. So I'll be first-time mom with Emma. Yeah. So that's exciting. I birthed my film. Now I get to birth a real baby. And it's fascinating I just started my third trimester, but the universe, God, creator, whatever you want to call it, it definitely like brings, I feel like you're on a fast track of self-healing, you know, before you're about to give birth, because you know, it wants you to be a better mom. So it's, you know, all these things come to the surface, or challenges come to you to, you know, try to heal as fast as you can any kind of unresolved issues, so you don't pass them down to your child. So I'm kind of, you know, witnessing that happening in my life, which is great. And I just finished the Heal book, which will, you know, just be the book version of the documentary, which is cool because you get to expand a little bit more on things that had to be cut from the film because of timing and everything. So that will be out in September, Heal the book. And then right before, I'm doing May. So I'm kind of busy now. We're doing another Heal Hay House Summit. We released the full length interviews of Heal last summer through Hay House online. It's a really fabulous Heal Summit, and everybody loved the content. So we teamed up with Hay House again, and we're filming 18 new experts to release this coming fall, as well as another Heal online summit. So I want to get that done before, so I can just enjoy the little baby once she comes.
Beautiful. So you're staying with Heal. In other words, you're not abandoning your passion for the work you've done so far. You're sticking with it. You're going to just continue to expand upon it.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, it was such a calling, and I know that I'll probably have a new calling that stems from being a mother. That's intuitively what I feel my next chapter, my next project might come from. But you know, Heal has become kind of a movement, especially after Netflix just gave it a rebirth. And it's so I just feel, you know, I owe it to the audience to continue giving them content and tools to spark them or support them on their healing journey. So as long as it's just the universe keeps putting it in front of me, and it's easy to do, I'm happy to do it, and I love doing it.
Thank you for sharing that, Kelly. And I just like to ask you if you could share some parting words for someone that may need to hear what you have to say right now. I invite you to do so.
You know, Emma is this shining example of, you know, of accepting the diagnosis of life, but then creating your own prognosis, as are you, Jay. So I think that's one of the best lessons from my documentary. And you know, it's so easy to it's the environment that Emma was talking about, let other people's fears or beliefs about what's possible kind of take over. But you have to understand, and Joe Dispenza teaches this so beautifully, that we truly live in this world of infinite possibilities, and what the doctor, or, you know, a friend that means well, that's telling you what they think is possible, you know, don't put yourself in that box. There's truly unlimited potential and infinite possibilities, and you can you know, choose the possibility that you want and focus on that and put it into action like Emma and Jay did, and you'll be amazed at the miracles that unfold.
Kelly, thank you for that. I have my own closing thoughts. There is a woman in my life who I refer to as my angel. That's my fiance, Mary Kelly. And she says your name first and last. And as I listen to you today, I realize that you too are also an angel, because I have no doubt that you, Kelly, have saved people's lives by what you have done. You had the courage to step forward and take on this project. And then you were able to get people that are credible, that are leaders in in alternative choices and alternative medicine, in alternative ways to look at life in science. And you put together such an amazing group of experts to share the possibilities that are present for all of us. And so I thank you. I honor you. And thank you for being in my life today.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you.
And Emma, I have a feeling we're going to stay close to one another. And I thank you for, again, coming on this afternoon. Kelly, you are always welcome to come back. If you have an opportunity and you want to share something along your new experience in life as a mom, and or if a story should pop and come in that from my end that I'd like you to participate, I'll put the invite out to you. At some point, if you can connect me with Dr. Joe Dispenza, I need to have him on my show, because I need to let him know how he changed my life. Without him, I'd either be in a wheelchair or I would have had to have another bypass done. And I'm not willing to put a second bypass in. Oh, because they won't even take out the first one. They said, no, we can't take it out. So you just have a parallel bypass next to the one that didn't work. But you see, even in that moment, here's my truth, is that I believe that when the divine knew that I had done the work, as Joe Dispenza basically taught me how to do, that the divine shut down my bypass because I no longer needed it. He knew when I was good. He knew when I had just enough blood flow created through these collateral vessels that I had built on my own through my visual exercise as I rode my bike 7 days a week over an 8-month period. The bypass didn't fail. I believe that the divine took it out of service because I no longer needed it. It no longer served me. I didn't need it anymore. And the reason that it's remaining in me is because it's so close to the skin. I could see it and I could feel it. I could see it. I could feel it. And all that is just a reminder for me of where I came from and where I never, ever want to go back in this lifetime. Because once you know what you know, you never go back. You just keep moving forward. And with that, it's a wrap. Real people, real health. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
I love you both. Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank
love
you.
Guys.
Massive honor, guys. Thanks so much, Jay, Kelly. Oh my God. Thank you.